How exposed are you to the critics personally? Are you very upset if you get a bad review, or can you shrug it off?
It, it's a very weird thing. I am more upset by good reviews, as
Why?
my friends will tell you. I can't tell you why. Uh, but those who know me well know by now to seek out some critical thing, because that cheers me up more than seeing one good one after another. I know it sounds nutty, but
Yes.
I get to feeling very unreal and very undeserving if the good ones go on for a while. And what I fasten on it. Oh, this guy didn't like it. Oh, yeah, right. I agree with him, I think, for the half hour afterwards. And it sort of keeps me alive.
The New York Times critic, Stanley Kaufman, as well as many other critics in newspapers and periodicals, have credited you with the superb performance that Elizabeth Taylor turns in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Now, I know you're going to say, no, no, it was all Elizabeth Taylor, but how did you coax and nurture this performance out of her?
Well, I think hoax or nurture are not words that I would choose. A performance belongs to an actor. Uh, you cannot cause anybody, truly, you can't cause anybody to do what they can't do. What Elizabeth does is hers, and she's responsible for it. What I did, I think, is to serve it well, because, you know, you do many takes in a movie, and then you have literally thousands of decisions to make. Which moment do you use? And I think I saw it very much the way Elizabeth saw it, so that I chose to use the particular takes, the angles, the shots in which she found the thing that was most right. So we did it together. It's the way an actress and a director work.
Were you ever overwhelmed by the Burtons in the beginning when you thought you were making a film with them? Did it frighten you?
No, I must say I tried to be. I used to arrive on the lot, you know, because I'm very sleepy in the morning, and I would try to wake myself up, and I would say, "Wake up! You're directing a picture with the Burtons," and nothing would happen. But what I was eventually overwhelmed by was the job they did, their professionality, and Elizabeth has a very strange thing, which is that when you see her do something, you know, you're standing next to the camera, and you say, "Well, that's good," and then the next day you see it on the film, and it's 10 times better. It's like something happened. She really knows something about movies that many people don't know. Something happens to it in that developing bath.
What kind of a director are you in terms of your technique? Are you a hollerer the way Otto Preminger is supposed to be? Are you a comforter? Are you a pussycat? What?
I would say neither of those. I don't holler. You know, I have maybe once or twice. You holler. There are people who like to be hollered at, as you begin to discover after a long time, and so I have hollered a couple of times. But generally, you know, and I don't mean this in any way modest. It's just true. The director is there for other people. If you're doing a play, you're serving the author. If you're doing a picture, you're serving the picture and yourself, but also the actors. The point is to help the actors. And if you can't help them, you're not doing your job. There's no point hollering at them.
You're involved with so many projects this year. It seems to me every time I pick up the newspaper, I read of something else that you're about to do. Would you enumerate just what projects you are going to do?
Oh, it's not that complicated. On Monday, this Monday, I'm starting rehearsal for a musical by Sheldon Harnick and Jerry Bach, who wrote Fiddler on the Roof. And it's called Come Back, Go Away, I Love You, for the moment.
That's not part of the title for the moment.
No, that's my comment on the title. And it's 3 separate stories, all musical, and it's going to star Barbara Harris and Larry Blyden and Alan Alda. And I look forward to that, and I'm scared, because I never did a musical. It should be.
That's right, it is. You've done comedies on Broadway, but
Yeah,
not musicals.
no. I figure, let them sing. And then I'm going to do a picture called The Graduate with Larry Terman, and that isn't cast yet. And then I'm going to do a picture called Catch-22.
I also have read that you have your own production called Icarus?
Yeah,
Is that right?
Icarus production. It's not, what it is, I would like to get together with many people that I've worked with and help each other. And it seems to me one of the things that happens in America really more than, say, England or France is that when people begin to work a lot in theater and movies, you all rush off in opposite directions and you start companies named after your children. You never see each other again. And that I think the important thing is to join up together. It's called Icarus Productions, which I'm very proud of, because Icarus, as you probably know, was the man who thought he would fly to the sun, and he made wings out of wax and feathers. And the sun, as he got too close to the sun, it melted the wings and he fell into the sea.
Very symbolic, said the interviewer. Now, what does that mean?
It's just a reminder to myself not to get too cocky.
Which brings me right into my next question, just as if it were a song cue. And that is that you're without doubt this year's #1 celebrity. You're too sensitive not to be aware of this. How does this explosion of fame affect you? Is it marvelous, as I would think it would be?
Well, yeah, it's nice. The main thing you should know about it, and you must know this from yourself, is that you don't notice anything. I mean, you're still home, you know.
But you're invited to everything. Every girl wants to meet you. You're the most eligible bachelor. I'm sure there isn't a party that they don't want you to come to.
Yeah, that's the best part.
That's the good part.
Yeah. That really is just fine, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. And it's like this terrific present. As for the rest of it, you don't notice it. You're not aware of it because I sit here at home and I see my friends and I work a lot, and that's about all I notice. Sometimes I read something in the papers.
Now, what has success taken away from you? Anything?
I hope not. The reason I'm hesitating is because I'm trying to decide whether it's success, whatever that is, or just getting a little older. What I'm sometimes afraid of is that you do get a little insulated. Like, I went to the movies last week. There were 4 of us. And we had to find a place to park the car. That took about 40 minutes. And then we lined up for another 40 minutes to get into the movie. Then we get inside, and the candy machine was broken. And the girls gave a very complicated candy order. So this other guy and I went out, and we had to get this kind of bar here and an ice cream sandwich there. Then we got back into the movie, and it was 106 degrees, and the air conditioning had broken down. And so we wanted to get our money back, which we did. It took another half hour. We had to sign something. And then we went all the way across town. I won't bore you much longer. There's a point to this. And went to the same movie in another theater. And the evening, which was going to the movies, cost $12.50 for 4 of us. Now, we can afford it. But I started to think, you know, that I'm fairly insulated, you know. I usually get driven somewhere, or I'm going to somebody's house.
You could have called up and gotten those tickets free and gotten the best seat if you'd wanted to,
right,
too,
well, my point is exactly that it was sort of fun, really, you know, and if you get too removed from just living, like going to the movies is not supposed to be too hard, and I got a little worried about myself because I thought, boy, I'm exhausted, wow. You know, I'm not going out again for a while. That was really rough, going to the movies like that. And you don't want to get too insulated and get too easy on yourself. I think that's
soft.
the only soft. That's the only danger.
You've been doing very well financially for many years now with Elaine May, when the two of you used to do your improvisations together. But in recent years, I'm sure you've made lots and lots of beautiful money. How do you indulge yourself?
Everything. I spend my money. I'm not sure on what. I don't think about it too much, really, you know. I buy things I like for myself and for other people, and I go places I like to go, and then I forget about it.
You're not a car bug or a...
Yeah, I'm everything now and then. I was a car bug for a while, and I got great cars that I wanted. And then I came back to New York, and I can't really use a car in New York, so I sold the car to buy a painting, and like that.
That's not bad. Yeah. We keep talking about Elaine May, and you can't talk about Mike Nichols, really, without talking about Elaine May and the wonderful improvisation team of Elaine May and Mike Nichols. Do you think you'll ever go back to being a performer again?
No, I don't think so, except that I really do get a kick out of working with Elaine and what we do together. So we might do that now and then just because we enjoy it. Other than that, no. I'm much happier this way. No, I'm not a good performer in that way. You know, like even when Elaine and I used to be on the Jack Paar show, we would just sit there, boring, because we're not good at being on. And then you start to tell an anecdote because you've planned it, because they said, yeah, tell that anecdote about the time you got your foot caught in the subway door, or whatever it is. And that you're in the middle of it and you're so bored with it yourself. You have to be a performer, which I'm really not.
In the early days, when you were working as an actor, did you think in the back of your mind, really what I'd like to do is to direct?
Oh, no.
No.
No, it worked the other way around. I fell into directing the way I fell into everything I've ever done by accident. Somebody said, you want to direct a play? I said, let's try. Then the minute I started, I said, aha, yes, this is it. And then I realized, sort of looking back, that I had been thinking about it without naming it for years, that really what I'd done with Elaine and in this group we had in Chicago and everything that interested me about the theater was to be thinking about directing, but I didn't know it.
We'll be right back with more conversation with Mike Nichols. First, this message. Tell us about your early background. Where were you born and where did you grow up? A little of this I already know, but...
I was born in Berlin, Germany, and my father was Russian. My mother is German. And then we came over here because it was necessary in '39 when I was 6. And then we settled in New York. And I went to school and I went to college in Chicago, and here I am.
Can you remember anything about Germany?
Yeah.
You still can't even now.
Yeah. I think about it sometimes because we got out, maybe 2 weeks in time, 2 weeks before it would have been too late. And that is, to put it mildly, lucky. And I think that if I'd had a life, how different it would have been.
Do you remember the first job you had?
You know, I was a camp counselor. I was a horseback riding instructor. I think that was my first job. I taught horseback riding.
Were you good with children?
No, I was good with horses. I was lousy with children.
You've now, I'm sure, been interviewed innumerable times.
I guess.
What's your least favorite question?
Oh, that's hard. I don't like terribly general questions like, who are you really? You know, those are very hard to answer.
Is there anything you wish an interviewer would ask you which he never has? And if so, tell me. I'll ask it right now.
You ask great questions. I'm very happy with your questions. I'll trust you.
All right. Now that you have, quote, everything, what frightens you, if anything?
I'm sorry to think so long. What frightens me really is loss of sensation, I think, is the only thing, is not to feel. And that seems to me for everyone to be the single thing to avert and avoid. But as long as you're feeling, I mean, to be feeling lousy is also very interesting. You know, nothing wrong with that sometimes. But I think the only thing that really would worry me is to begin to withdraw, to cease to feel. I have one goal, really, which is to be a good movie director, because I love making movies, and I would love to know how to do it better and better. And I love the idea of what I feel about movies, which is that if you come into movies, you're really apprenticed to giants, because there are people who have done extraordinary things in movies, I think more practically than in any other field right now.
Who are your giants?
Oh, Fellini and Truffaut and David Lean and endless people. The great thing about movies is there are about 100 very, very talented people. And that interests me immensely, because that's a much greater feeling to see how far you have to go. And again, I don't mean this modestly, it's just that movies are a very big thing. That interests me more than, say, working in a field where you think, oh yeah, well, I'm as good as anybody else.
What kind of movies do you like to see?
All kinds. I'll see any movie, and do.
Why do you have a picture of Charlie Chaplin upstairs?
I like him.
Not because he's an idol, but just because he's a man you like.
Yeah, he's as
hmm?
close to an idol as I get. I don't idolize people exactly. I admire them, and I admire him a lot.
If someone were writing about Mike Nichols, let's say in, in Russia, where you might not be known, and they had to do a little squib, the kind of thing that they do in a playbill, and someone said, give us the facts and tell us what is most pertinent about you, what would you say?
This guy, very boring. This guy who directs plays and movies.